Hey everyone, I'm back with a One Punch Man video. This is going to be one of my more ranty, not so scripted videos, because I don't really know how to script this type of video. It's more of a rant and me addressing like this really annoying thing in the community that bothers me. So there's this character in One Punch Man. A lot of characters fall under this actually, but this one character in particular really bothers me. And that is Beefcake. Everyone thinks Beefcake is the big strong. You know, he's the strongest monster. You know, I've seen people think that he takes out Orochi. I've seen people think that he would destroy all the cadres, and it's just not the case. I don't buy into it, and I just think it's because he's very like a generically powerful character, but like when you look at his feats, they look very impressive on paper and whatnot, but when you actually look at it from a more critical lens, you know, you've read the series 4 or 5 times like I have, you read all the data books, you power scale like other universes, you know about, you know, calking and how different feats compare to each other and whatnot. It's just not that impressive, realistically, and it doesn't really work in an argument most of the time. So let's talk about it. First off, Beefcake make big explosion, destroy big city. All right. So let's talk about this feat. We don't know the exact parameters of how big city, I think it was city B and city D that he destroyed. We don't know how big they are at all. If anything, we see that the damage Beefcake does is actually pretty small in comparison to himself and the nearby buildings. It's actually pretty relatively easy to scale how much damage there is, and it's definitely not city-sized. Even if you look at it in the naked eye, you ask any person, they're not going to say that this is city level. I've seen some people talk about how cities in One Punch Man are like country-sized, which if you say this is the case, we do know Beefcake's confirmed height in the series, and the fact that we can scale the damage relative to his height is completely horrible for Beefcake. There is no country, there's no country on the planet that is only 270 meters wide or anything like that. It's just not happening. If you do want to get a little nerdier, you actually can do calculations to find out how powerful Beefcake is using these feats, and people do it all the time. There's tons of calcs of this feat. And I'm not going to act like I'm some calc god, you know. I find them on the internet, I'll use them, I'll talk about them. Sometimes I'll look a little in depth at them. So if you have some calc that says that this is like planet level, I don't give a fuck. So for the one we'll be using for this example, generally speaking, you can say that this feat is anywhere from 34 megatons to 2 gigatons of TNT. Now, what exactly does that mean? You're probably wondering. The strongest nukes on the planet are about 50 megatons of TNT for the strongest nukes on the planet. And that's generally considered around city level. But more importantly, how does it like stack up to feats in One Punch Man? So there's this one very early feat from Genos. Literally like episode 2 or 3 Genos. It's much more impressive in the manga. I know most people don't read the manga of early One Punch Man. But so Genos kind of like destroys a pretty significant part of a mountain. And there's been tons of calcs of this, so I'm not going to say for sure which ones are more impressive or whatnot. Generally on the low end, it comes out to like several hundreds of kilotons. Though, of course, it has gotten pretty as high as like hundreds of megatons of TNT, which is around the Beefcake feat, around the middle ground, depending on your interpretation, whatever, it doesn't matter. So the fact that this early series Genos, very early series Genos, can like sort of encroach on like a tenth even of this feat, which is supposed, which people will say is like like way above anything we've seen in the series is kind of weird. Again, like, you know, even if you don't think that Genos is quite that powerful, you don't think he's like on par with the Beefcake feat. You know, the fact that it's even like 1/10, if anything, it's pretty insane. And then you get to, you know, higher tier characters like Goketsu. Goketsu's who can like create shockwaves, which are several hundreds of gigatons, possibly to maybe even teratons of TNT, which is actually country level. It's just not a very good feat for Beefcake. It's not as impressive as it really comes off as. Even Pluton, a character who was anime only and just appeared at the end of season 1, had a far more impressive feat, but you don't see anybody talking about it. It's simply just not a very good feat. Well, it's a pretty decent feat for his tier, I guess. It ultimately is not like a top tier or god tier feat by any means by the standards of One Punch Man, and should not be thought of as such. So the next big thing I want to talk about is Beefcake's threat level. So as we know, Beefcake was originally assigned threat level demon in the manga and anime. However, one goes on to later state that if Saitama hadn't stopped him, that Beefcake would have been raised up to threat level dragon. Now, this itself doesn't mean that much, right? There's tons of threat level dragon characters in the series. Even Melzigard, who like Puri Puri Prisoner could punch holes in, is considered threat level dragon. But more importantly is people think that threat levels apply to all stats. Versus Wiki egregiously especially has said that any dragon character is faster than any threat level demon character, which just simply is not the case, as we see countless times in the series. First of all, that is not even how threat levels operate by the Hero Association standards. There's more than just power, speed, and durability that goes into determining threat levels. It also includes intelligence, aggressiveness, difficulty to destroy. So for example, this is why someone like Melzigard can be given threat level dragon, right? Melzigard can like get the shit kicked out of him by base 4 Metal Bat kind of badly. Metal Bat's able to react to him and parry him and whatnot. We then get to Metal Bat later, and this Metal Bat gets kind of angry, so he's stronger than before. And he's fighting these two monsters, a Senior Centipede, and I'm not even gonna bother pronouncing that other one. And these are both demon level monsters. And these demon level monsters are able to tag him, damage him. None of the stuff that, all the stuff that Melzigard didn't do against him. So Melzigard is slower than Senior Centipede. We also have Garo, who's able to beat up this Metal Bat, completely blitz him numerous times over. This Garo also is able to blitz Smile Man, and this Smile Man is actually shown reacting to the dragon level monster Withered Sprout, even when he's heavily weakened. But then this same Garo, when recovered and stronger than ever, can still be tagged and struggle with some demons. So, no, speed is not necessarily implied by having a higher threat level. Just because you have a higher threat level doesn't mean you have better speed. And that's without even mentioning that threat levels are constantly said to be wrong in the manga all the time. There was an entire chapter about how threat levels are stupid and wrong, and how they can't always be used. They simply aren't a very foolproof or valid method of power scaling, especially in regards to all stats. So what does this mean for Beefcake especially? Now, Beefcake is a problem character because Beefcake hasn't fought anyone other than Saitama. Saitama, who just like instantly one-shot him. So Beefcake doesn't have any speed feats at all. You cannot scale him to anyone in speed. Yeah, he looks kind of fast when he's throwing those punches, but that is completely just, headcanon. You can't determine the speed of those punches at all. We don't know how fast he is, Even pretty low tier characters, early Sonic is stated capable of creating sonic booms. Lightning Max and Lightning Genji, both just A-class heroes that get speed blitzed by pretty fodder characters like Beefcake and Suiryu, are both stated to be capable of lightning speed. Lightning Max was stated like 3 times in the databook. And Genos, even very early in the series, can dodge beams of light. Pretty blatantly, in fact, he does it numerous times. These are all very low tier feats. All these characters end up getting horrendously speed blitzed by quote-unquote demon or dragon tier characters. And yet Beefcake, you cannot scale Beefcake to any of these characters at all, because he doesn't fight anyone. So what you get is, even if you, like, in a debate setting, or like an argument setting, Beefcake, sure, he's decently powerful. He's got some okay AP feats. He cannot hit anyone. Almost any character in the series with any, like, valid power scaling at all can dodge him, can blitz him. He would never touch them. Even with, like, his extreme range, he's so slow that he would, like, never land an attack. Ever. It just would not happen. So you have decent AP, whatever. He's stronger than most of the lower tiers, okay. And then they all speed blitz him. These characters with their way better speed and pretty relative attack potency would probably just beat up Beefcake until he eventually died. Again, like, this goes back to just because he's a dragon character does not mean he beats all characters that are not rated dragon. For all we know, the only reason he's even rated dragon is because of his super high attack potency, which again is only really, like, good by lower tier standards, like I said. But his speed is just abysmal, and he can still lose to characters of much lower tier because of that. It's something that happens all the time in One Punch Man. We see there are A-class heroes that are capable of that have comparable combat ability to S-class, even though they aren't technically S-class, right? So to say that Beefcake, by virtue of being a demon, by virtue of being a dragon, is just above any non-dragon character is completely fallacious, and it's just not true by the series' own standards. The next thing that I want to talk about, this is stepping it up a little bit from the last arguments, is that Beefcake was able to tank a punch from Saitama. So he has the highest durability in the series aside from Boros and Saitama. This does not work because Saitama doesn't always use the exact same amount of strength with every punch. We see a lot of the time that normal humans will survive Saitama's punch, and he always seems to hit them with just enough force to knock them out but not kill them or leave them fully conscious either. It seems to be more of a plot punch kind of thing that only does exactly what it needs to do despite Saitama's efforts. As we know, Saitama's able to punch Snakebite Snake, this A-class hero, and he's still alive after the punch. He's still completely fine and he's alive. He then punches Deep Sea King, who one-shot this hero, this A-class hero, Snakebite Snake. So Deep Sea King, this punch from Deep Sea King is stronger than this punch from Saitama. But then Saitama punches him. Deep Sea King punches Saitama. Saitama is disappointed by the punch, and then he one-shots Deep Sea King. So Saitama punches at varying levels, and he is not always using the same amount of strength. He could simply be using a lesser amount of force on Beefcake than he did against other monsters like Orochi, Carnage Kabuto, Goketsu, it doesn't matter. It's also implied in the series that Saitama continues to get stronger. At one point in an interview, Murata states that Saitama has never stopped his training. As well, the series never implies that Saitama stopped his training. In the audiobooks, Saitama also implies that he's getting stronger every day, And this is also implied as well by his ideology, which he explains to Glasses. Oh, like, do you believe the you of tomorrow could be stronger than the you of today? He believes that humans overcome their limits. It has a lot to do with his like ideology. And again, he implies it himself in the audiobook. So it's possible that this Saitama, that one-shot Beefcake, just doesn't even scale to later Saitama at all. And he just gotten stronger, so you can't even like apply this Beefcake's durability to a later Saitama punch. The only time Saitama actually even states that he's not progressing in strength anymore is when he's extremely depressed, and way later, seeing as Saitama went from the bottom of B class to near the top of B class. The next thing I want to talk about is actually an argument that my friend came up with. Like, this argument is still pretty dog shit, but it's still like better than anything I've talked about so far. So, Beefcake's brother, I'm not even gonna try remembering it right now. It starts with an F. He claims that like Beefcake is the strongest, or whatever. And seeing as he's a scientist, he's probably got more word than just anyone else. Especially because knowledge and information on the S-Class heroes is pretty readily available. And that would include someone like Darkshine, who has his strength tested when he's training all the time with the Hero Association. So the argument is that, seeing as he's a scientist, his word would be enough to say that Beefcake is stronger than other monsters or heroes that exist in the world. For one, we already know that Dr. Genus is actually has like very good intelligence feats and has far more experience and knowledge than this dude does. He's literally been alive for like 100 years. He created clones of himself. He has dozens of mutants and cyborgs and everything. In fact, he's even lived to see the whole Beefcake event go down, so he's actually seen that, more than likely. And in the anime, he actually does confirmed have knowledge on certain S-Class heroes like Metal Bat, Watchdog Man, and Darkshine. And yet, he still thinks that Carnage Kabuto is the peak of evolution and is the strongest creature on the planet. Nothing can even hold up to him. We also don't even know how much knowledge the Hero Association has on their own heroes. Even some A-Class heroes like Spring Mustachio are able to hide their abilities from the Hero Association. Darkshine in particular is someone who's stated outright to be so strong that the Hero Association could not measure him at all. They just could not measure him. Even if you want to say like they made some statement about his strength or something in one of their data books or like on the Hero Association website or something, even then it would just be like an underestimated or casual Darkshine that they'd be measuring. Even Child Emperor acknowledges that measuring strength is not as easy as it makes it out to seem. And even his Okame mask, this device that can measure strength, even though Child Emperor is a super duper prodigy genius and is stated to have like the greatest intelligence in the data books, unparalleled intelligence, I think it says, he's not able to measure like the peak of strength, and he's only able to get like a few times stronger than some random demon level monsters. So now that I've talked about, now that I've debunked most of the Beefcake arguments, and I know I'm gonna get shit in the comments already, but now that I've debunked most of it, if you still disagree, by the way, make sure to join the Discord. Don't leave a comment like a fucking bitch. Just get in Discord and argue with me. Now that I've debunked most of it, let's go over some characters that would absolutely destroy Beefcake. So, all the S-Class, except Zombie Man, whatever. All the S-Class, they, Watchdog Man, speed blitzes and beats him to death. Silver Fang, speed blitzes and beats him to death. Atomic Samurai, he speed blitzes and beats him to death. Tank Top Master, he'd probably speed blitz and beat him to death. Purry Prisoner, he'd speed blitz and beat him to death. Okay, so what about monsters? All the executives. So Evil Natural Water, man, he'd speed blitz him. If you're ugly, he'd speed blitz him. Orochi, he'd speed blitz him. Goketsu, he speed blitzes. Hero Hunter Garo, he speed blitzes and beats him to death. Like every other character. So yeah, again, this is kind of just like another ranty video that I kind of just wanted to make real quick. So yeah, that's really all there is to it. Low effort. New video coming out soon. How strong is Crollo from Hunter x Hunter? And then I'm gonna make a Bleach video after that. So you can look forward to that if you're into that. Make sure you sub if you want to see those videos. Hit the notification bell to get notified when they come out. And yeah, thanks for watching.